Hello, hello, eighth grade. So this week we are talking about volume. Okay, last week we reviewed area. So remember, area, if we have a two-dimensional shape, area covers how much stuff can fit into this 2D shape. Think about if you needed to put a carpet in a room, right? Area would be how much carpet covers up the whole floor. Now we're going to move into three-dimensional shapes. We're going to talk about volume. We're going to talk about cylinders, which are shapes like that. Think about a tube of wrapping paper or a can or a roll of paper towels, right? You have a circle on top, a circle on bottom, and it kind of looks almost rectangular in that sense of it being long like that. So that's a cylinder. Okay, volume then would be how much stuff can fit inside. So if we were talking about like a can of soup, the volume would be how much soup can you put inside this can, right? How much stuff can fill up the whole thing. Now, the volume of a cylinder is found by finding the area of the base. So the area of this circle, which if we remember from last week is pi r squared, times the whole height. So pi r squared times your height. That is the volume of a cylinder. Okay. Now you can also have a shape called a cone. Now, the easiest place, the most common place you're going to see a cone in our world, think about like an ice cream cone or like a birthday party hat. Okay. Now a cone, if we check this out, let me change my color for this part. A cone is what you get if you shave off the sides of a cylinder, right? If we were to cut down the edges of this cylinder, you're left with a cone. And a cone is going to be 1/3 the size of that matching cylinder. So 1/3 pi times your radius times your height. Okay. Oops. We want to click and, oh, come on. There we go. Click and drag. There is our cone. And the last volume we're going to have, we can see here for our sphere, is this 4/3 pi r squared. Now, a sphere is like a ball. Okay, it's a three-dimensional shape like a ball or like a planet. Okay, and this is the volume of this sphere, like I mentioned, is this last problem here, this 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so now that we know the volume formulas, we can actually start using them. Make sure you refer back to this page as you are completing your assignments this week. This is going to be super useful to make sure you have the right formulas for the right shapes. Okay, so the rest of these notes are just going to have us practicing solving these. So we want to find the volume of the cylinder. So our cylinder, remember the volume of a cylinder, we found that formula on the first page. It is pi r squared times the height. And remember, for our purposes, we are going to use 3.14 as our pi. So all you have to do in order to solve this problem is plug the information in. So we need our radius. Remember, the radius is that measurement that starts at the center of a circle and goes to the edge. So our radius here is 4. So I'm going to replace my r with the number 4. We also need our height. My height here is 9, so I'm going to replace my h with the number 9. And now we can multiply all of this out. So remember PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents. We want to start with our exponents. 4 to the second power, 4 times 4, that's 16. We're going to have 16 times 9 times 3.14. And just grab a calculator to help you out with this. 16 times 9 times 3.14. 16 times 9 is 144. 144 times 3.14 gives us 452.16. Boom, there it is. Okay, that is our mathematical answer. The last step is it's important to label with our units. So that is a volume, that is 3 dimensions, and we're measuring in centimeters. So we would say we have centimeters, and remember, go format, text, superscript to give that centimeters cubed. Okay, take a moment. You're going to follow the same process. Plug in your height, plug in your radius, but be careful here. They say 14 is the diameter. So remember, to find a radius, you're going to have to cut that number in half. So if our diameter is 14, your radius is 7. Okay, go ahead and plug those into your formula and solve. Make sure you have inches cubed as your unit. Okay, page 3 says find the height if the volume is 3,617.28 cubic centimeters. So they gave us our volume and we need to find the height. We're going to be working backwards on this one. So we still have volume equals pi r squared h. Okay, remember pi is our 3.14. And this time they give us our radius. So we can substitute radius in for 12. But they told us our volume instead of our height. So our volume gets substituted in instead, which is 3,617.28. And now we're going to do the normal process, but our goal this time is to get h all by itself. So we're going to use those algebra skills that we've been learning. Okay, 12 times 2, or excuse me, 12 to the second power, that is 12 times 12, gives us 144 times our 3.14. Okay, well, 3.14 times 144 is 452.16. Bring down our h, bring down our equals, bring down that 3,617.28. Last step, we want to get h all by itself, so we need to divide that out of there because that is a multiplication. So get rid of the 452.16. Boom, get rid of the 452.16. And again, just use your calculator, make your life easy. 3,617.28 divided by 452.16 gives me an answer of 8. Now make sure when you type your answer in, that height is 8 centimeters. Okay, make sure we're using the proper units here. And that's it. Plug it in and solve, just like we have been doing for the last few weeks now. Okay, and that's it for our cylinders. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to practice figuring out our cones. So remember the right equation. Volume is, go back to the first page if you need to check it. Cone, 1/3 of our cylinder. So 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, we can replace pi. Remember that is 3.14. And we can start to substitute. My radius at the bottom here is 8. My radius is 8. We're going to substitute that in. Boom. My height is 15. We're going to substitute 15. Boom. And now that you have your numbers, you're just going to start doing the math. So start with your exponents. 8 times 8 is 64. Got to bring everything else down. We've got our 15. We've got our 3.14. We've got our 1/3. There's a lot going on in these, so I really, really recommend that you are doing your math with a piece of scratch paper next to you. Now we just got to start multiplying everybody out. Okay, 64 times 15 gives me 960. Okay, 3.14 times 960 gives me 3014.4. And lastly, we've got 1/3. So if we took all of that, 1/3 of that means we're going to divide by 3. So 3014.4 divided by 3 gives us a volume of 1004.8 inches cubed. Oops. 1004.8 inches. And remember, format, text, superscript, cubed. Okay. Take a moment. You're going to do the same thing. Find the volume of this bottom cone. Again, be careful. They give you the diameter. So if your diameter is 12, you need to cut that in half and find your radius is 6. Use that number, use your 16, plug them in, figure out the volume of this cone. Okay, last one here. We're going to be finding the height. They give us the volume. I'm going to help you set this one up, but I want you guys to try and solve it on your own. So remember, volume is 1/3 pi, so 3.14 times the radius squared times your height. Okay, and we're going to start plugging in the numbers that we know. So we know our radius. Now, the diameter is 12. So the radius, half of that is 6. Okay, and you can start solving this. 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. You got a 3.14 still. We got our 1/3 still. We want to figure out our height. Oh, we got to plug in our volume. So our volume in this case is 414.48. So if the goal is to get h by itself, combine what you know and get it away from it. So 36 times 3.14 and 1/3 of that, 36 times 3.14 gives me 113.04. 1/3 of that, you're going to cut it into thirds. That means you're dividing by 3 here. Gives us 37.68. I know fractions can be intimidating, but see how easy that was to utilize them. Okay, the last step is for y'all to complete. I want you to make sure that you are using your inches measurement when you figure out the height. Your last step is to just get that h by itself. Okay, and excellent job. Last piece of our notes this week, we're going to look at our cone. So remember, the volume of a cone is 4/3. And if you're not remembering, double check that first page. Pi r cubed. So notice you have a cubed here, 4/3 times pi, radius cubed. Now the reason we do that instead of having an h is because your radius on this sphere goes in 3 directions. So we have it going side to side. You have an up and down, right? But you also have front to back. So all of those give us our 3 dimensions, which is why we have our radius cubed. So all we got to do is take the radius and plug it in. If my radius is 4, plug it in. 4 to the 3rd power is 4 times 4, 16, times 4, 64. And bring it all down. 64 times 3.14. Oops. 64 times 3.14 is 20 point. This is a big one. 3821656. Okay. And now we want to handle this 4/3. Now, plenty of people get tripped up by fractions, but I'm telling you, it's super easy. It's 4 times 20.3821656 divided by 3. And that gives me 27.17622 ... It's going to go on. When you get something crazy long like that, you want to round it off in the hundredths place. So we want 2 decimal spots. 6 tells me to round it up. So 27.18 inches. And because it's volume, remember that is inches cubed. Okay? You're going to do the same thing. Take a moment and you're going to find the volume of this sphere. Be careful. They give you the diameter as 14. Remember to cut it in half. Your radius is half of 14, so 7. Plug that in. Figure out the volume of this sphere. Okay. This back page, I want you to try it on your own. You're finding the volume of a hemisphere. So notice this hemisphere here is half of a sphere. So 1/2 of your normal volume formula. Okay, follow the normal pattern and then at the very end, divide it by 2, cut it in half. I want you to find the volume of your hemisphere. The very, very last page gives you information about some real world shapes that you would have: a traffic cone, the earth, and a soup can. You're going to find the volume. Okay. I recommend you have scratch paper to solve these. Once you're done, get it turned in and y'all will be good to go for this week. All right. Excellent. The last piece that you will need to worry about this week is your assignment, which just has you practicing finding volume, just like we did in our notes. All right. Good luck, everybody. Have a good week.